Hi, in this video I'll help you get to know your car a little better. At the end of this video I've put together a straightforward infographic that summarizes all the key points. Like, subscribe and comment below. It really helps.
So, you're a Chevy owner, and that pesky check engine light has thrown you the error code P2119. Well, you've come to the right place. In the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what that code means and walk you through the most common ways to get it fixed.
We've all been there, right? You're just driving along, minding your own business, and boom, that little orange engine light pops up on the dash. It's so frustrating, and your mind just starts racing. What's wrong? How much is this going to cost me?
So, you plug in a scanner, and this is what it spits out P2119. Now, I know it sounds super technical, like some kind of secret code, but it's really just your car's way of pointing you to a very specific issue. So, let's decode it. All right, so what is your car actually trying to say with this P2119 code? Let's translate this thing from computer speak into plain English so you know exactly what's happening under the hood.
Okay, so think of your car's main brain. That's the Engine Control Module, or ECM. It's constantly running little diagnostic tests in the background. Well, code P2119 gets triggered when one of those tests fails. Specifically, the throttle valve, the part that controls air flowing into your engine, isn't snapping shut as fast as it should.
And get this, the computer is super precise about this test. The ECM expects that throttle valve to close completely in less than 0.720 seconds. Yeah, that's less than 3/4 of a second. If it takes even a tiny bit longer, that's enough to fail the test, trigger the code, and light up your dashboard.
But here's the good news. This problem usually boils down to one of four very common causes. So you can think of them as the four main suspects in our little investigation.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the easiest and most common cause, which is a high idle speed. Then we'll move on to checking a few key parts, the throttle position sensor, hunting for any vacuum leaks, and finally, taking a look at the fuel pressure regulator.
Okay, first up, let's tackle the number one reason this code pops up, an engine idle speed that's just, well, too high. This is absolutely the first place you should look.
So why does this cause the error? It's actually pretty simple. If your engine is revving too high when it's supposed to be resting at idle, it's physically preventing that throttle blade from closing all the way back to its home position within that super tight time limit. So how do you fix it? Well, you've got a couple of options. You can either adjust the idle speed down to what the manufacturer recommends, or you can often just use a good diagnostic scanner to command a full reset of the throttle blade. Now, if you've checked the idle speed and that's not the problem, don't worry. Our investigation just moves on to three key components that can go bad and trigger this code. It's time to look at some of the hardware. All right, suspect number 2 is the throttle position sensor, or TP sensor for short. Its entire job, 24/7, is to report back to the car's computer and say, hey, the throttle blade is this open. If that sensor starts failing, it can send garbage data, making the computer think the blade isn't closing right, even if it is. The good news here is it's a pretty simple fix. Once you've confirmed the sensor is the problem, you just replace it with a new one. That way, the computer starts getting accurate information again. Our third potential culprit is a vacuum leak. This is when extra, unmeasured air gets sucked into the intake manifold. It's like having a tiny straw letting in air where it shouldn't, and that completely throws off the engine's delicate air-fuel mixture, which can definitely cause this P2119 code. Fixing this one requires a little bit of detective work. You'll need to carefully inspect the intake manifold and all the hoses and gaskets connected to it. Look for any cracks, damage, or just old, worn-out parts, and replace anything that's letting that air sneak in. And that brings us to our last suspect on the list, a faulty fuel pressure regulator. This little guy's job is super important. It makes sure the engine is getting fuel at the exact right pressure. If it starts to fail, it can mess with engine performance and, you guessed it, trigger our P2119 code. And just like with the TP sensor, this one is pretty straightforward. If you've tested the regulator and it's bad, the fix is simple. You just swap it out for a new one to get your fuel system back in top shape. Okay, we've just gone through the four main culprits and what to do about them. Now, let's pull all that info together into one simple, easy-to-follow action plan you can use. You ready? We're going to put everything you need to know in one single place. This next slide is basically your cheat sheet for tackling code P2119 head-on. And here it is.
This chart lays it all out for you. A clear, step-by-step plan. You just start at the top with high idle speed and work your way down the list. For every potential cause on the left, you've got the exact solution right there on the right. This is your action plan. See? Now you're not just staring at some random code on a scanner. You've got a real, logical roadmap to follow. You can start with the most likely and easiest thing to check, the idle speed, and just work your way down until you nail the problem. And look, this is really important to remember. That check engine light can be stressful, for sure, but this P2119 code points to a really common and totally fixable issue. This isn't some deep, mysterious engine problem. It's a specific issue with known solutions. You know what? That really is the bottom line here. Experts who deal with this stuff all the time agree. If you just follow a logical process and use the right parts, this is a repair that you can absolutely handle. So there you have it. You've got the knowledge, you've got the plan. The mystery is gone, and you have a clear path forward. The only question left is, are you ready to get in there and take control of this repair?